the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention today, they eased the indoor mask wearing guidance for fully vaccinated people. They eased it to the extent that you don't have to wear a mask indoors. You don't have to wear a mask outdoors, with the exception if you're going to be in an extraordinarily crowded place, or you're going to be in an airport, a nursing home, a train, or a bus station, or a jail. You have to still wear a mask. Other than that, you're fully vaccinated, you do not have to wear a mask anymore. Which begs the question, how the heck do you know if someone's fully vaccinated or not?
So, I mean, so this is my thing. Because I know they give you the little card, that vaccination card, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess that would be the way to show that you've been vaccinated. I'm not really here for this because, you know, I feel like it's still going to protect everybody. You have to also understand that other people can catch COVID from you. And also,
I don't understand what you're saying. So you're saying you shouldn't have to walk around with the certificate that says, nobody says
no,
you have to
I'm
walk
saying
around
that
with it.
I don't think that they should take away the masks this early. Because people could still catch COVID, even if you have the vaccination, like you could still be carrying it as well. And the fact that the card is just a flimsy piece of paper where it's not laminated, doesn't have a stamp, people are starting to buy these illegally, just like a illegal ID and stuff. So then you'll have all these fake people saying, oh, I'm vaccinated, and like walk around because nobody wants to have a mask on. So it's still, I think it just causes a big problem, like for the future. I think that they should still have people wearing masks. Me personally.
Okay, I kind of disagree with you, Yo-Yo, and I'll tell you why. For a couple of reasons. Number one, if we go through the history of mask wearing, okay, the government's always been, listen, I'm no Donald Trump supporter, but in one sense, it has been so hypocritical, the whole mask wearing thing. They started off in February and March, don't wear a mask. They said it's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. Why? Because they were really not telling us the truth at that point, because there was a mask shortage and they wanted the masks to go to hospitals and nursing homes. Once they ramped up production on masks, everyone should wear a mask. Then Donald Trump made it a political statement to wear a mask and not to wear a mask. It made everybody really, really, really angry. It actually, the mask wearing caused a lot of anxiety in people, oh, this person's not wearing a mask, I'm going to get sick, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward all the way to 2 days ago, when scientists have fully determined that wearing a mask being outdoors, you have approximately a less than 1% chance or a 1% chance of catching COVID. Indoors, you have a high chance of catching COVID. By the way, this is from a guy who catch COVID. It was really, really bad. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I was sick in the hospital for 2 days. So I know how bad it is. Okay? But at the same time, we have to be able to live our lives. So let's think about this. Let's think about this statistically. There's 1-2% chance of catching COVID, even if you're not vaccinated, by walking around outside. If you are inside, approximately right now, 50% of Americans, give or take, are either taken 1 shot or 2 shots of the vaccine and are close to being fully vaccinated. That means that if people actually tell the truth, or even if they don't tell the truth and nobody wears a mask, you can't get COVID from 50% of the people that you come into contact with because they're vaccinated themselves. And you're also vaccinated. And if you believe the statistics of the vaccinations, if you are vaccinated by Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson, you still may potentially have a breakthrough and get sick. But according to the statistics, there is almost zero chance that anybody who is vaccinated will actually die from COVID. You may get sick. You may feel uncomfortable, even like me. You may even end up with 105 temperature like me. But there has been nobody documented that I'm aware of who has a vaccination who died from COVID. And so if ultimately, Yo-Yo, we're not looking to figure out, is it potentially possible that somebody who has a vaccine gets sick or gets very ill? Yes. But so far, according to the scientists, if you have a vaccine, you're not going to die. So at some point, don't you think we have to get back to normal?
At some point, but I think it's too early. That's just my my opinion.
The whole idea behind getting vaccinated, if the idea is we want to save lives, vaccinations, people who are vaccinated don't die from COVID. There still could be a breakthrough, but you don't die from COVID. And now in America, almost 50% of the people are vaccinated. So the chances of actually catching it from somebody is reduced by 50% to begin with. So my opinion is this should have happened a while ago, but okay, better late than never.
My opinion is y'all still wear y'all masks.
And Vanessa's opinion is I'm still debating whether to take the vaccine or not.
Right, and I'm in the middle of Florida where everyone is just like out. Like everyone is just like this is normal. Like this is out here, the way things are moving. Like when I do go out certain places, I do still keep my distance for either party's safety, but I'm going to end up getting vaccinated, y'all. I'm not just thinking.
We talked about this yesterday. Why is Florida doing so well? Because most people are outdoors anyway, and you don't really catch COVID outdoors. You catch COVID indoors. Not to say you can't catch COVID outdoors, but statistically it is much, much harder to catch it outdoors.
And things are starting to open up again. It's going to be so weird when you guys see more than like 30 people in a room, by the way.
Yeah.
That's
on the streets here in New York City, I'm starting to see people walk around. It was a ghost town, New York City, for one full year. Just in this last week or two, I'm seeing a lot more people on the street. What about you, Yo-Yo? You noticing that?
No, absolutely. Don't quote me. But didn't they say that New York is like fully opening? I think, was it like July 1st or something like that?
I almost didn't want to mention it, but I read something like that too. Like New Jersey, at least, you guys know I'm from Jersey. I'm always keeping up with Jersey, is almost back to 100%. Like capacity.
Yeah, it's going to open up for sure within the next month or so.
And by the way, that is a preview of opening up the country to foreigners as well. Okay, So it's going to be opened up for Americans, and they're going to watch what happens with COVID. And then I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing traveling being allowed, travelers, visitors, vacationers from other countries being allowed to come to America sometime over the summer. It would be very surprising that if summer comes and goes, and we're still kind of locking out the rest of the world in terms of visitors and tourists and others who want to come for short durations of time. There's countries that are allowed, but Europeans aren't allowed, China's not allowed, Brazil's not allowed, South Africa's not allowed. I would be surprised if we start seeing more visitors and tourism come. With that being said, a couple other things I'd like to point out about the vaccines. Number one, children as young as 12 now are allowed to take the vaccine. So as a parent, you have to start thinking, do I want my child to get the vaccine? Now on MSNBC Town Hall, they interviewed Dr. Kizmika Corbett. She's an immunologist at the National Institute of Health, and she helped create the vaccine that is now the Moderna vaccine. And Dr. Corbett attempted to ease anxiety in people who believe the COVID vaccine was developed too quickly by explaining that the vaccine is actually 6 years in the making because scientists and experts have been dealing with outbreaks in the same viral family for years. So they were working on vaccines for SARS and MERS in the coronavirus family, Dr. Corbett explained, saying, quote, "We kind of knew that coronaviruses as a viral family had pandemic potential, and so we were preparing for it, apparently now, for the last 6 years." So does that put you at ease a little bit that the vaccine, when people say, how'd they come up with this vaccine so fast? Maybe it's too fast. Now, at least they're saying that there's been a development of different types of coronavirus vaccines, not for COVID-19, which is a different coronavirus than, say, SARS or MERS. But at least they're all in the same family. So they were working on similar type of vaccines that I guess had to be changed a little bit so to cover COVID-19 versus SARS. So 6 years in the making, Vanessa. Does that put you at ease a little bit or not really?
I didn't know this fact. That actually does put me at some ease.
Right.
Because I was one of those people.
Does that put your mind at ease? Because, Yo-Yo, you took the vaccine.
I did take the vaccine. It kind of does, but it also, me and conspiracies, I'm like, did they know that this was going to come? And, it also has me thinking other...
Well, this scientist said they were preparing for a pandemic. They just didn't know what it was going to be, but they felt that some coronavirus potentially could break out as a pandemic. But how?
Thank you.
They had me. When he said it before, it wasn't until you said, that MERS or Mars or things are in the family of the COVID-19 virus.
Correct.
And I was like, okay, now he cleared me up a little bit. But how?
How?
Thank you.
How?
Listen. Thank you. That's all I'm questioning. That's all I'm questioning.
There's only two competing theories right now on where COVID came from. The two competing theories. One is that the COVID jumped from an animal to a human, and then the human walked through the market in China, got everybody sick in this market in China, and China didn't do enough to prevent the spread of it. That's one theory, and that's why you hear Dr. Fauci saying, the wild version of COVID versus the British version versus the South African version, because the original version was the wild version came from wildlife. You'll hear Dr. Fauci saying the wild version, the wild version. Now, the other theory is, wait a second, how in the world, in this big city the size of New York City, that an animal came in and gave coronavirus to a human, it jumped to a human, at least according to this theory. I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but according to this theory, a virus can't jump from an animal to a human. It has to be able to mutate and jump from one animal to another, to another, to another before it gets to a human, because it has to keep mutating. And so it has to jump to several different species before it gets to a human. That's what I read. I have no idea if that's true or not. And the theory being is, how did this all happen in this huge city the size of New York City? Wuhan's a huge, huge city in China. If this were going to happen, it would have happened in a cave up in the mountains in China somewhere, where people are living close with animals. Now, there is a institute called the Wuhan Institute in China that was working with coronaviruses. And the theory is that somehow this virus escaped this research institute, and whether intentionally or negligently, we don't know. And that's what infected somebody in Wuhan, and that's what infected the whole city, and then it got let out, and China didn't want anyone to know that it came from their research institute. Those are the two competing theories. It jumped from an animal to a human, or it came from this lab in China. Whether purposefully or negligently. Somehow. Nobody knows. What do you think? If you had to take a guess.
I think it was made, and they purposely put it out.
Well, it was made because this research lab was apparently experimenting with different types of coronaviruses that they were making themselves to see, to test different scientific stuff.
Yeah, like, why even create a disease like that? That's my thing.
I don't know.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying any of this is a conspiracy theory. I'm just saying.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration is facing pressure to organize an evacuation of endangered Afghan interpreters and others who worked for the United States government before the last of U.S. troops withdrew from the country in September. Advocates say the administration is moving too slowly to protect tens of thousands of Afghans whose lives are in danger because of their association with the United States. Adam Bates, policy counsel for the nonprofit International Refugee Assistance Program, said, quote, "We're very concerned about the seeming lack of urgency on the part of the administration to protect vulnerable Afghans in light of the anticipated withdrawal." Now, the United States previously gave interpreters visas to come here. They haven't been allowing Afghans in lately. The concern is now that the United States is going to withdraw all of their troops by September 11th, anybody in Afghanistan who helped the U.S. government is going to be a dead man or a dead woman. So we don't know what's going to happen with that. 17,000 Afghans who have helped the U.S. government over the years, whether interpreter, guide, whatever it may have been that they helped the Army, 17,000 of them have applied for visas and are being holed up still. What's going to happen with these 17,000 people who assisted the United States military once the military leaves on September 11th? Biden said that we're out on September 11th. So we have to watch what happens with these people. I mean, it could be a bloodbath for some of them.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Very, very scary. Meanwhile, Vanessa, while we were on air yesterday, the Colonial Pipeline came back up. Joe Biden said it's going to be a few days before you can go back to fill up your gas regularly. But what came out today is that there has been news reports that in order to get the pipeline back and going, Colonial Pipeline paid the ransom of $5 million to a criminal group called DarkSide to give whatever code was required, computer code, to get their pipeline back up. When asked by reporters to the president, Joe Biden, Mr. Biden, President Biden, is it true that Colonial, what's the name of the company? Colonial Pipeline gave $5 million to some shady group to get gas flowing to the east coast of America to avoid all sort of gas shortages. Is it true that Colonial Pipeline paid $5 million? And you know what his answer was?
What?
No comment.
Oh, okay.
No comment.
That's not the right answer.
So no comment means yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
How can they get away with that? Like, how do you take the money out and not catch them? Like,
how is the U.S. government so rely on one pipeline that
part.
Criminals, we don't even know who they are, could shut it down? We're supposed to be the strongest, richest country in the world.
Right.
All right, this is like Ocean's 11 type of thing. You know, like I want to call up George Clooney and be like, what do we do, George? You know how to, you know, figure this out. You're in Ocean's 11.
I don't know if 12. You guys have seen some of the videos that people were showing from people in Baltimore. People were in their little flip-flops that had a bunch of containers, like stuff that you put your food in, you know, to take them away, and filling them out with gas. Like, you know, driving away with it. Like, it was a crap show, especially in Baltimore. $5 million isn't worth all the crazy stuff that was happening.
For these dark side people, it was like Austin Powers when Dr. Evil just asked for $1 million. They're holding the whole East Coast hostage on gas. They only got $5 million for it.
I would say at least 50 mil.
50 million, $100 million, you know?
Like, it was about to turn into something bad. People were getting into car accidents, fighting at the gas station. Like, it would have been something huge.
And then how did these hackers get the $5 million? I guess they had to pay in Bitcoin or something, right?
That's what I was saying. Like, it had to be somewhere where they could access the money and still not get caught. Yeah. Like, it's wow.
I don't know, but it was very telling when, you know, President Biden says, "Did you pay them $5 million?" No comment. Shut this mic off.
At least he didn't lie.
I didn't say shut the mic off, but yeah, he didn't lie.
At least he didn't lie.
Yeah.
Our last president would have been like, "No, we're too strong of a country." Yes. No, they didn't get it. Right. And he probably like, yes, give it to him. Give it to them, please.
The old president would have been like, "We don't negotiate with terrorists." Give them what
they
want.
You know? Right. No, exactly.
It's Wacky World News Thursday. We're going to start in Italy. A 23-year-old woman in Italy who was mistakenly given 6 doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine has been discharged from the hospital. How did you get 6 shots of COVID vaccine? How does this even happen, Vanessa? I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't figured out how to get one.
And this woman got 6. The woman was administered the vaccine at the Noah Hospital in Tuscany, central Italy on Sunday. The patient, who was in good health with no underlying conditions, was kept in the hospital for strict observation. A health worker accidentally filled filled the syringe with an entire bottle of the vaccine containing 6 doses rather than apportioning it out. Doctors will continue to monitor the patient's immunity, but right now, she seems to be okay. She got 6 doses of Moderna vaccine.
Why would you do that though? Like,
right. The only thing I got to say is
this is why it's wacky news.
The only thing I got to say that's wacky about it is, if she got 6 doses and walked out of the hospital 24 hours later, fine. You don't got to be that nervous about getting the shot.
yikes.
Right? Meanwhile, a Belgian farmer accidentally increased the size of his country. For a second, I thought this was hump day. He increased the size of his country after moving a marker on the country's border with France 7.5 feet, causing an international incident. The unidentified farmer only intended to create more room for his tractor, but as a result, Belgium is now teensy bit larger than when the original border was set 101 years ago. There was a marker that marked, this is Belgium, this is France. But the guy was farming and he had to turn his tractor around and he couldn't turn it, so he moved the marker. And apparently it stayed there for a while and nobody realized the difference, and Belgium just got bigger.
Oh.
Isn't that weird? That's pretty wacky.
That definitely
That's wild.
is.
Yeah.
I accidentally extended my country.
Yes, exactly.
My borderline.
Exactly. It's like, you have property and you put the fence about 3 feet too far and you went into your neighbor's property.
Right.
Do you know in law, it's called adverse possession? If you adversely possess in common English law, I mean, there could be statutes in any particular jurisdiction, but in common English law, which is now followed also not only in the UK, but in the United States and other places that follow the common law. If you adversely possess property for more than 20 years and nobody says anything, it's yours. It's called adverse possession. So, absent a statute somewhere, I mean, this is country to country, but if you came onto my property and moved the property marker 3 feet and there's no local statute that says otherwise, and I don't say anything for 20 years, that's not your property. It's yours.
Brad, where do you live? Where's property?
Uncle Brad, bringing back law school. Final exam.
Right. What property do you have that you don't really check?
What?
What property do you have that you don't really check? Where's that?
Yeah, now David Laville, the mayor of the Belgian village of Erkelins, where the marker was moved, now plans to send a formal letter to the farmer demanding the stone be placed back where it belongs. And if it doesn't happen, the farmer could face criminal charges. But Laville is optimistic diplomacy will prevail. If no agreement is reached, Laville said, the matter will be turned over to Belgium's foreign ministry, which would set up a commission in France to resolve the dispute, a move the Times said was last required close to 100 years ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But the farmer's not moving it back because the farmer wants to move his tractor
around.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a mysterious sight caused panic in Krakow, Poland, after being spotted in a tree this week. Inspectors from the Krakow Animal Welfare Society arrived on the scene after being called by a desperate-sounding woman. And what did she find? She reported that residents were too afraid to open their windows with the limbless monster lingering nearby. But inspectors soon found out that the creature stuck in the tree, brown, unmoving, skin shining in the sun, was in fact a croissant. Yes, the lady in question had described the croissant first as a lagoon, a Polish for lagoon, and then as a leguan or an iguana. Although it was unlikely to be a reptile given the cool spring temperatures, the inspectors wondered whether it could be an unwanted pet. Wow. Everybody was freaking out, and it was just a rotted old croissant.
That's hilarious. And funny thing is, that picture right there looks creepy as hell. Like, it looks like that could be something that's like in a cocoon, ready to jump out after a couple of days of hibernation.
Now, meanwhile, finding the beast after searching through the bushes and trees, the inspector said, we can't help the creature because it's hard to help something that was previously baked. A bank robber has managed to pull off a heist in Germany after distracting witnesses with his ugly tie that prevented them from giving police a description of his face. The man, believed to be in his early 20s, robbed a bank in a town near Frankfurt while wearing the ugliest tie in the world. Everybody was staring at the tie. Nobody stared at his face. Nobody could describe the guy. They could only describe the tie.
Hey, I had one of those ties.
Police are struggling to find this thief. They're saying, anybody who owns this tie, give us a call. The item was so ugly that when questioned by police, witnesses couldn't remember anything. Just the hideously patterned tie. A police spokesman told Der Spiegel magazine he did it quite cleverly. Everyone focused on the ugly tie and didn't pay attention to his face. Can you imagine?
That sounds like some like Pink Panther type stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, Officer Clouseau type of thing. Like, we have a tie, you know? Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.